What is the better car for Uber driving? A Toyota Prius or a Tesla Model S? Hi, my name is Levi Spires, and this is the Tip You in the App Daily Drive. So in this episode, I'm going to definitely talk about a $40,000 Tesla versus a Prius. Later on, I'm going to talk about the ride of the week that I didn't do and what that means to you. And then, of course, how maybe I communicate with passengers. Another person asked about which cars have I driven. Of course, I'm going to give you in the links in the description, but I'm going to talk about other channels that I like to watch and some other YouTubers out there. Okay, what is the best car for Uber driving? I think it's a great question to have because there's a lot of data and a lot of analysis. And we were having Tristan, my friend over on X, posted a question about, I think it was something about along the lines of like a Tesla or something like that, but it didn't really matter. But it just kind of sparked this idea of like, what's the best car to have? And I posted that here's a used Tesla Model S. And I think Tristan was along the lines of like, I can get 10 Toyota Priuses for that price or something like that. He made a good point. But as you guys know, I love data analysis. And so I kind of jumped right into it. Now, before I even get into the data and the analysis, I want to be very clear. The best car for Uber driving is the car that you have right now. I'm not recommending that you buy any car, a Tesla, a Prius, or whatever, because the switching costs, whatever car you have right now, if you had to sell it and buy another car and you did it explicitly for Uber driving, could be really expensive, especially if Uber or Lyft or DoorDash or any of these other gigs change the game. And they do that all the time. They take cars off of lists and quality of tiers and things like that. They may kick you off the app. So I would never recommend buying a car explicitly just to do Uber driving in. But if you're in the market to switch, or if you're a data person like me and you want to do this analysis, or you love or hate Teslas, you're probably going to like this analysis. Okay, so I did this baseline scenario in my mind. I was like, okay, who are the two cars that I really want to compare? And so I went out to cars.com and I found a Tesla Model S, right around $38,000, almost $40,000 for it. It's black, it's a 2022, so it qualifies for, depending upon which city you're in, upwards of Uber Black. So it's a great car. And then I found a used Toyota Prius over on cars.com with well over 200,000 miles, and it was $4,000. And it's got 2 years of life to qualify for UberX. So the cheapest option of being a Toyota Prius and a pretty expensive used vehicle, a $40,000 Tesla Model S. And I just wanted to analyze these two. And with any analysis, what you want to do is kind of set up a baseline. You want to compare things that you know you can access. So what I set up in my mind was a 2-year scenario that you went out and you bought either one of these two cars, and then you drove them for 2 years and sold them. And well, what did you do over those 2 years? Well, I think if you just did UberX, you didn't earn any tips, there was no promotions, you drove 40 hours a week, you'd probably make at least $1,000, give or take. So you're going to bring in $1,000 in revenue. You're probably going to put 700 miles on your car. That's the analysis that I did. That's the baseline of what I started with. And I thought, where could we go from there? All right, so let's do the fun part. Let's go through the numbers because that's what I like to do. All right, so the purchase price of the vehicles, $38,000 to $4,200. And then what I did was I wanted to finance it. So the down payment on the Tesla was going to be the price of the Prius. So there's no financing of the Prius. And let's say you finance the Tesla, the $33,000 balance that you have. You're going to pay about, let's say, $1,400 in interest over the next 2 years. And then you're going to sell that car after you've put, I don't know, whatever the 100,000 miles or whatever you're going to put on it, for $24,000. Whereas the resale of the Prius is going to be $3,200. Depreciation is $13,000 or $14,000 to $1,000. Now the fuel costs because you're going to supercharge the Tesla because you're driving it so much, you're probably going to pay about $4,700 for it, whereas the Prius is going to be about $4,800 in fuel. Maintenance costs, you can see the Prius is more because there's oil changes and things like that. But then the Tesla, depending on how you drive it, you're going to drive it pretty well. You're going to burn through some tires, so there's tires in there. And then insurance costs. What I did was I factored in commercial insurance for the Tesla so you could qualify for Uber Black. So about $16,800 for insurance on the Tesla, or only $4,300 over the next 2 years on the Prius. FSD and entertainment, those are additional costs for the Tesla. So another $2,800 on that. So the 2-year total cost was $45,000 for the Tesla and $18,000 for the Prius. Now remember, we're still only doing $700 or 700 miles a week. And so that's 72,000 miles. So the cost per mile on the Tesla is 62 cents, whereas the cost per mile on the Prius is 26 cents. So if you're earning $1,000 a week in just UberX money, no tips, no bonuses, no nothing else, you're going to gross about $104,000 over the next 2 years. The net profit, and this is the big difference, is $58,000 on the Tesla. So you're earning about half. You're about a 50% gross margin on UberX and the Tesla, whereas you're doing about $85,000 in gross profit in the Toyota Prius. So profit per week, $56 or $560 in the Tesla and $820 in the Prius. So profit per hour is $14 versus $20. That's a $254 gap right there between the two. So each week, the Prius is going to earn $250 more in profitability because of the cost structure of what we did in that analysis. Just doing basic UberX, no tips, no higher premium rides, no private rides or anything else like that. And that's driving, again, full-time, 40 hours a week, 700 miles, $1,000 a week. Now, we could adjust these, and this is just a comparison and analysis. But the question is, can the Tesla make $250 more than the Prius? That basically a quarter. Instead of $1,000, it's going to earn $1,200, $1,300. And what are the options that are available to you as a person driving a Tesla? Even in my market, I could do Uber Comfort. But if you get commercial auto insurance and you start to do private rides, can you earn $250 more in private rides every single week? So you still do UberX, but instead of doing all the UberXs, you just do a couple of private rides. There's that. And then the higher tiers. Tips. Can you earn more money in tips in the Tesla than kind of an old Prius? Maybe. So I don't think that $250 is a big stretch. I don't think that's a huge stretch. Now, so financially, the Tesla and the Prius, again, the Prius is low risk. It's easy. I always recommend doing that. And you can enter and exit this business pretty quickly with the Prius. It's low risk. Whereas the Tesla, you have potential to make more, because I think $250 is pretty easy to do. You can make $250 more than that Prius really easy. And what I see with the Tesla, the difference between the two is that you can grow a business with the Tesla. You can start to do private rides. You could probably exit the Uber business and make $1,200 a week just with private clients and customers. That's the difference between the two. Not to even mention just the sheer comfort and quality of the two. Now, I own a Prius. I love my Prius. I like it a lot, but it's not a Tesla. It's definitely not a Tesla Model S. If you haven't driven a Tesla or even a Tesla Model S, they're absurdly fast and fun to drive. They're so comfortable, the suspension in them, the electronics, and then the ultimate game changer, which I added to this cost in this analysis, was Tesla full self-drive. It's absurd. You driving 40 hours a week in a Tesla is like driving, I don't know. It's like driving 80 hours in your Prius. I think I did that analysis right. It's just so much more comfortable and so much more relaxing. It's so much more fun. Now, I'm not saying buy the Tesla. Maybe you don't like Tesla. You hate Elon or whatever. I'm not saying you should do either one of those things. I'm just saying when we do analysis, we always look at analysis from our own perspectives. And some people, I think Tristan is a good example. He's really good with money management and being debt free. That Prius is a great option for him and his lifestyle. I like that too. But maybe you have the financial capability to buy a higher tier vehicle. You're in a city where you could do Uber Black. You're willing to invest more into that style of business. And you just have the ability to afford more comfort. You can do that. So there's no wrong answer. I think there's no wrong answer. I know that's kind of a cop out. I know that's kind of like you're looking for a definitive answer. What's the best car? I don't know, because you're unique. I'm unique. Our cities are unique. The times in which we drive and the styles that we drive, the risk patterns that we want in our lives. Do we want to be really risky and get a car, or just really who cares? Every one of us is different. That's kind of my point. But it's fun to do the analysis, and I love doing the spreadsheet. So if you go to my website, I have that spreadsheet on there for you to take a look at, and links to the cars where you can compare them a little bit more. I don't know. What car would you get? Would you get a Tesla? Do you think it's a good buy? Let me know what you think. All right, now, my ride of the week that I didn't do. It's tempting because I see these rides and they're big dollar amounts, and I'm tell you why you might do it. It was an Uber Comfort in the middle of the day to go all the way from Ithaca, New York. It says Statler Drive, which is the hotel in Ithaca. So it's the luxury hotel on the Cornell campus, all the way to JFK Airport. A 5-hour drive. So 5 hours down, 5 hours back, $246. Now, I've earned as much as $700 on that same ride, with a big tip, of course. And so the 246 is low. It's definitely low. I would not take this ride. Not even for the 246 though. The thing that turned me off the most was the 4.41. A passenger 4.41 in my car for 4 hours. That's just unacceptable. That person, I know some of you out there are like, oh, passenger ratings don't matter or whatever. Yeah, sure. For a 4-5 minute ride, whatever. But a 5-hour trip, there's got to be something. I think about smells. I think that person has to have the worst smell. That's or they're a bad tipper, or they're just a jerk. Who knows? But 5 hours in my car. I think to do that trip with a 4.4 rating, I would want $500 something. So double the price on this. Now, why would you do this trip? Well, I've done that trip before. And the reason why I've done that trip before is I just need a couple $100 really quickly, and I know I can get it. One of the benefits to long trips is the speed in which you can earn the cash that you need to get. So $240, you know for a fact, is going to go into your bank account. Now, you know there's gas, and we can go into our costs and depreciation and all that. But I think a lot of drivers, that doesn't matter. They just needed $200, and you're guaranteed to get $200 in your account. You don't have to worry about driving that whole day, whether you're going to get the rides, etc. So if you've got the time, you get the ability, you can put up with a 4.4 somebody. That's why you might do that trip. All right, to your questions and comments and things like that. This is the fun part for me when I kind of get to the things that you guys are talking about here. So I did a live recording, and that was a lot of fun. I'm going to do more of that. I'm going to try to do more of that. But Roxy, one of the Thrive members on the channel, thank you, Roxy. She talked about match and mirror, and excuse me. She talked about match and mirror when we talked about ways to communicate with the passenger, being a good, authentic listener. And match and mirror is a style in which you match the enthusiasm or the tone of the person that's speaking to you, and then you mirror it back to them. I think that's the best way to say it. A lot of the times when we are communicating with our passengers, we're carrying our own thing and we're not worrying about them. But a really good, authentic listener understands and I'm envisioning the passenger back here, what emotional state are they in? And if we can match that and mirror that back to them, we become a better communicator. So, and then we were talking about that in the live. So great job, Roxy. I totally agree. I think I said that right. I matched your comment well. Um, then Consulent, he asked, he's an econ nerd. He goes, why have you cycled through an Avalon, a Prius, and a Tesla? Okay, why have I cycled through an Avalon, a Prius, and a Tesla? Well, my Avalon was my car I had before I even did Uber driving. And so after a year of Uber driving in the Toyota Avalon, it was burning through too much gas, as comfortable as it was. And I wasn't getting enough comfort rides to do it. My gig at the time was really short rides around college campuses. So, do you remember back during COVID and stuff like that? A lot of the car companies had 0% interest and all these kind of things. I went and bought a brand new Toyota Prius for a really affordable price and with 0% interest. And I was like, let me get that. And so I traded in my Avalon and got the Toyota Prius to do short rides around college campuses to make a lot of money. And it did. It did really well. And I still have that car. Then I wanted to get a new car because I had wrecked my Prius. I hit a deer and they said it was going to take 13 weeks for it to fix. So I went and rented a Tesla Model 3 from Hertz to do Uber in. And that was fun. And I realized, hey, I can get a Tesla. Uber offered a bonus of $2,000. They had the EV bonus going on at the time. The Tesla had discounted their car. And I ended up buying a brand new Tesla Model Y for $38,000, not including the bonuses I've gotten off of it. I've made probably, I'm going to say $2,000, $4,000, let's say $6,000 in bonuses by just driving an EV with Tesla and their EV bonuses, and the bonus I got for purchasing the vehicle. So yeah, it was really, really great cheap to get a Tesla Model Y for that. So yeah, that's why I've cycled through those cars. Good question. And then what's Kevin doing? He asks, can you provide links to the other Uber driver channels that you've mentioned, especially the private client guy? The private client guy is Jack. His name's actually Trey Jackson, but T Jack, I think is his name. Again, the links will be in the description. He is a fleet manager, young guy too, 26, 27, really smart, really talented. I've been on his show too. He's got a YouTube channel, but if you're looking to go private, he's the kind of guy that does that. He does fleet management in Houston. Other channels that I watch, of course, I watch Sergio and Chris, the Show Me the Money Club. I really like those guys. I consider them friends, and I really respect what Harry's doing over there on his channel. Who else do I watch? Tristan is a future rideshare millionaire. I really love his content. When I'm on X, Drivers Coast to Coast with Matt, Chuck, and Lynn, I like them. Chuck Driver over on YouTube. He's a really great content creator. He does some co-branding stuff with the rideshare guy. I think Kian is really good. Let's see here. Driver Eddie is probably my favorite. He was the guy that kind of got me into this business to some extent. And so I've been a super fan of his content. He's more storytelling, and I like that. Let's see here. I love watching the rideshare professor. He's so funny. When he puts masks on and sound effects, it's so good. My son and I just laugh. That is so good. I like Mike Drop Barbecue. He does some good stuff. Let's see here. Lisa has a great channel. There's so many I'm going to miss now. Honestly, though, when I sign into YouTube and I watch content, I like to watch like long form content. The longer, the better. So here's like a crazy thing about me if you want to know. I like to watch old Masters final rounds. So golf. I know who won every tournament. I know exactly what's going to happen. I know the call that the announcer is going to make, but it's still fun for me to watch like the 2019 Masters when Tiger wins. I love it. I can put it on for 6 hours and be just happy. I also like old news things. So like the Challenger explosion, like rewatching that news event, 9/11 reenactments, so not reenactments, but the broadcast of that, the 2016 election, any type of situation, the 1991 Gulf War, any type of like situation where like the broadcast, nobody kind of knows what's going to happen, and kind of watching their surprise as, the second plane hits the tower. It's kind of weird, I know, but to me, it's kind of like watching live events and people who don't understand what's about to happen. It's almost like a suspense thing to me. So I enjoy that. Um, what else do I watch on YouTube? I watch a lot of gaming stuff. I don't say a lot of gaming stuff. I like to watch Clash Royale. I'm a Clash Royale gamer on my phone. So if you see me sitting in my car, that's what I'm probably doing as I'm waiting for a ride, is playing Clash Royale. And so I like to watch those guys do that. That's about it. Why not I go through, what are some other stuff that I like? I like to listen to podcasts. I've fallen in love with long form interviews and long form podcasts. So Joe Rogan's great, the way he has conversations with people. I think Theo Vaughn's pretty fun. So I'm getting into those bros. That's kind of a new thing for me. I like listening to old Art Bell radio broadcasts. Those are pretty fun. I like the All In podcast. That's pretty good. I like the Daily Audio Bible is a daily podcast that I like. Albert Mohler, The Briefing is a podcast I listen to. I don't know. It's probably too much. I know it's not what you ask, consultant, or what's Kevin doing, but thought I'd share. Okay. Drivers. I really would appreciate if you join Thrive. The Thrive membership here on the YouTube channel helps me fund all this. It's just $2.99 a month. It's really nothing. It's a token way for you to join a private group of people, and I post exclusive videos behind the scenes of what's going on within the channel and things like that. If you want a driver-focused Facebook group, so if you're tired of getting onto Facebook groups where everybody's just negative and has really bad advice, try the Tip You in the App Facebook group. It's really good. I'm very disciplined about who I allow in there. It's drivers only, and there's no warnings. If you get out there and try to spam it up, you're already gone. So it's a small group. It's only, I think, 800 people, so it's really small. Yeah, and please support any sponsors of the content I'm producing. That helps me do it. I'm a full-time driver. This is what I do for a living, and I really enjoy being able to produce content. Yeah, so for 2025, please drive your way. Do the things that you want to do. You're a unique human. You're special. Nobody can tell you exactly how to do it right because they're not you. They're not in the city, the car that you drive. They're not your need. So you're unique. I want you to be safe. I want you to be healthy. I want you to be happy, and know that I am cheering for you. Be well. Bye.